Okay, hello world. All right. So, I get to introduce Juniper, and aside from doing the poetry that she'll be reciting here this evening, she also has done all this Impermanence of Hope mixed media artwork. So, make certain before you go to check that out. And we also have to thank Manna for allowing us to use the space, so be sure to buy a cookie or something, anything, before you go. And so here is Juniper Moon.
Definitely not that tall. I also wanted to mention, my artwork goes down part of the way, but towards the front of the bakery is the pastel work of Heidi Henrikson-Miner, and she's here, and they're beautiful pastels, so please check them out before you go. Heidi is an artistic poet, but doesn't write poetry. Won't be reading with us. Okay, there was a friend that was going to come tonight, and maybe she'll still roll in, but the start of this work was a result of wanting to give her flowers when she couldn't have flowers. She was receiving treatment and she couldn't have fresh flowers. So my first one was a tiny 5x5 framed flower, and it is piecework or applique work, and I'll gladly show it to you before you leave. But they evolved into these pieces. And this evolution relates to the Salem Art Association's exhibit, The Hope of Art, The Art of Hope. And the pieces are made from book pages. And they're sewn together with my sewing machine, Marc. He has a name. And it's not connected to any Marc that's here. There are a few Marcs here. And the reason why they're book pages is that my hope is recharged, or I find hope in the creativity of others. So that is represented in the book pages and in the flowers. And my goal tonight wasn't to read. We had a couple other friends lined up to read, and that didn't work out for various reasons. I was just going to be an end capped with an essay. So I have gathered the poems of others to share with you together with a couple of my own poems. And we're just going to roll through them. And there'll be a lot of different poems. I'll announce them. If I don't announce a name, then it's my poem. And let me know, I feel like my hobbit size and things are awkward here, but let's see. Hope is the thing with wings, but it is also the thing with roots and petals and treetop crowns. Hope slithers and buzzes and whirs. Hope is the thing with floppy ears and paws and farts in his sleep. Hope also wears tennis shoes and stilettos and soccer cleats and work boots. Hope writes and draws and paints and dances and sings and bakes and builds and takes down. Hope makes love, makes this walking each other home a bit easier and a bit harder, but more bearable together. Hope is the thing that compresses and expands. Hope is focused attention. Hope is a song you can't help but sing, a book you can't help but read again and again, or a passage you must read aloud to a loved one. Hope is that moment you return to in the dark the first time you met him, when she reached out and took your hand, when they called your name, you got the job offer, when you first smelled your newborn granddaughter's brow. The sprouts that come through the soil, the owls that exchange a call and response, the moment you go outside and the hummingbird arrives as you kneel to dig. Your friend calls for no reason, but every reason between the lines. Hope is ebb and flow. You generate hope for me. I strive to conjure hope for you. Hope, what buoys us. Today's answer. I write with cloven hooves, tapping out a Morse code only those with the most heinous thoughts can decipher. I bray like an ass, snort like a sow, caterwaul like mating bobcats, and screech like an owl until I can whir like a hummingbird across the page. I write about time all of the time, with too little time in the making due. A 10-pound watch on my wrist anchors me, reminds me of what I've wasted, how much might be left. I write to obscure, how freeing to become unknown to yourself. I imagine a nameless bioluminescent sea creature deep off the Pacific shelf, rarely seen, yet it is as evidenced by the glowing smear of its existence amidst the briny, deep black velvet backdrop. So far from mine, yet adjacent in this moment. I am the indigo synesthetic smear across the page delineated by white space. I write for the startled coyote's vows, chicken's clucks of tut-tuts, and the crow's cacophony of monosyllabic verbosity. I write to orient this body to the topographical map of another's body. I write because I am alive. I swing from topic to topic like the squirrel high-wire act, sustenance through hilarity. I write like the black bear on the ridge trundles along and pauses to sniff, like the great blue heron meditates moments before tasting the fish. I write like a bat caught in a room, flapping erratically around and around until the window of my mind is flung open to the night sky. I write because my dog will die. I write because I cannot fly. Art Lesson by Marc. The mind moves like a pencil, the heart moves like a brush. While the mind can draw exquisite prints, the heart with its deep, bright colors will ignore the lines. If you only follow your mind, you will never go outside the lines. If you only follow your heart, what you touch will never resemble anything. We must be a student of both, for the mind can build itself a home, but only the heart can live in it. Thank you, dear. Thank you very much. I might spill it all over, but thank you. It is, skip that one. This is a quote, "The ultimate test for the ability to control the quality of experience is what a person does in solitude, with no external demands to give structure to attention." Mahai Csikszentmihalyi, Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience. The Peace of Wild Things, Wendell-Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests, in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. I wanted you to see what real courage is, instead of the idea that courage is a man with a gun in his hand. It's when you know you're licked before you begin, but you begin anyway and see through it no matter what. Harper Lee, To Kill a Mockingbird. Sparrow Envy, J. Drew Lanham. Were I the sparrow, brown, black, skittish, and small, I would find haven in thorniest thickets, search far and wide for fields lain fallow, treasure the unkempt, worship the unmown, covet the weed-strewn row. I would slink between the sedges, chip unseen from brambles, skulk deep within hedges, and desire the ditches grown wild. I would find great joy in the mist-sodden morning, sing humble pleas from the highest weeds, and plead for the gray skies to stay, gray days to stay. Refuge by John Vandriel. Late afternoon, we step softly, our voices low and husky, furtive and unnoticed by the shadows, winter solstice long, with edges bleary and faint. Our terrain, streets pressed under skies so overcast that photosensitive porch light remains lit, bewildered by the sparse radiation, anemic in the colorless mist settling from above. We enter nightfall, the sky now matte black and starless, and stop at the rails of the bridge to watch the water below unrested and churning, but for formless to our eyes. Its voice at once challenging and dismissing, suddenly static shapes. We weigh into the concrete curb like worn stone figures, sculpted by an artisan of an older time. The journey prompts our sense of alone, yet together, and we step toward home, brightened by the marrow of yellow light, casting the shrubbery from the windows into short shadow, inviting and safe. Inside, echoes of our past warm us like the heat of a gallant fire projected from a river stone hearth. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb inside of his skin and walk around in it. Harper Lee, To Kill a Mockingbird. Belonging, Rosemary Watola Traumer. And if it's true we are alone together. The way blades of grass are alone but exist in a field. Sometimes I feel it, the green fuse that ignites us, the world thrum that unites us, an inner hum that reminds us of our shared humanity. Just as 35 trillion red blood cells join in one body to become one blood, just as 136,000 notes make up a symphony. Alone as we are, our small voices weave into one big conversation. Our actions are essential to one infinite story of what it is to be alive. When we feel alone, we belong to the grand communion of those who sometimes feel alone. We are the dust that hopes, the dust that dances in the light with all the other dust, the dust that makes the world. There are years that ask questions and years that answer. Zora Neale Hurston, Their Eyes Were Watching God. Gnawed bones, like chewed on bones. Gnawed bones, Peggy Shoemaker. If language is bones, hard parts of speech, what do skulls of pack rats crushed into owl pellets have to tell us? If this delicate pelvis once balanced a gravid javelina, what word passes on her to her shotes? If cicada shells hang like a single mother starved for touch, what does hot wind whisper through them? If every day reenacts creation, if we live here, now, in the first world, and the last, let us speak in our bones. Languages of water from all skies, from deep underground, let our bones quench the thirst of history. Thirst for all we yearn to sip, marrow of each dry tongue. There is a basin in the mind where words float around on thought and thought on sound and sight, when there is a depth of thought untouched by words, and deeper still a gulf of formless feelings untouched by thought. Zora Neale Hurston, Their Eyes Were Watching God. Accidental Devotion, Where the Universe is on Your Side, by Kelly Russell Agaddon. Because there was a fluttering when you expected floodwater, a guardian angel with her hand on your hip, while you spun anxiety satellites in your mind until the universe went full tilt, planets pinballing. The secret is the world loves you. How you smile at sticky children, hold the door for people you've never met. Some days it's almost too easy to be helpful, to make a million friends because you don't spray pesticides across your lawn. The grasshoppers and cocoons, thank you. We're hanging in there knowing love, and also temporary, like us. And while you sometimes worry, wear high-water jeans, you aim to unwind with hibiscus, hollyhocks, and anything to give you a little buzz. Remind how you adore honeybees, alive and humming in sync with the cliff swallows, who returned with the pair of golden eyes floating across the lake. They're still together another year, seasonal monogamy. Like all of us that summer, when everything fluttered, all those lifetimes, the monarchs landed in your hair. Perhaps he knew, as I did not, that the earth was made round so that we would not see too far down the road. Isaac Denison, out of Africa. Field Guide by Tony Hoagland. Once in the cool blue middle of a lake, up to my neck in that mist, precious element of all, most precious element of all, I found a pale gray curled upwards pigeon feather, floating on the tension of water. At the very instant when a dragonfly, like a blue-green iridescent bobby pin, hovered over it and then lit and rested. That's all. I mention this in the same way that I fold the corner of a page in certain literary books, so that the next reader will know where to look for the good parts. It's not silly to hope. It's a sin, he thought. It's silly not to hope. It's a sin, he thought. Ernest Hemingway, The Old Man and the Sea. I forgot to say, many of these quotes are actually books that I've torn apart, and they're part of the art pieces. Old Man and the Sea is up here on the wall. Choir Hive by Aaron Coughlin Hollowell. Against white sky, the birch tree opens its many dark mouths. She hears its words, golden river under snow, secret honey, clapper of veined scribed marble. That bell rings each full moon, now waning, now feeding the mountain underneath. Getting to Bed on a December Night by Ellen Bass. When I slip beneath the quilt and fold into her warmth, I think we are like the pages of a love letter written 30 years ago. Some aging god still reads each day and then tucks back into its envelope. This one is untitled by Doug Anderson. He posted it on Facebook and I asked him if I could read it. He's a poet on the other side of the US. He said it was a love poem written many years ago. Be quiet and listen to the rain. There is nowhere to be and nothing to prove. You are so warm and your thighs are like silk. Your hands, birds, their small hearts racing. Together we are the word that does not need to be spoken. Doug Anderson. You know I was full of water. Now I'm going to read a poem by Eleanor Berry. She was going to join us, but plans change. The love for her presence remains. This one's titled Fireweed, and it's from her book, Works of Wildfire, a beautiful collection. Fireweed. If there had been no fire, these seeds, years in the soil, would not have sprouted. If fire had not opened the land to sunlight, these shoots would not have emerged, lengthened, leafed out, and bloomed. But for the fire, these tall clusters of 4-petaled magenta flowers, each offering up its 4 pollen-laden anthers and its nectar-beaded 4-cleft stigma, would not festoon this land. As the days shorten and the sunlight begins to fall aslant, the fine white silk of thousands of new seeds would not dazzle, backlit against the piles of charred slash. From Blossoms by Lee Young Lee. From blossoms come this brown paper bag of peaches. We bought from the boy at the bend in the road where we turned toward the sign painted peaches. From laden boughs, from hands, from sweet fellowship to the bends, come nectar at the roadside, succulent peaches we devour, dusky skin and all, comes the familiar dust of summer, dust we eat. Oh, to take what we love inside, to carry within us an orchard, to eat not only the skin, but the shade, not only the sugar, but the days, to hold the fruit in our hands, adore it, and bite into the round jubilance of peach. There are days we live as if death were nowhere in the background, from joy to joy to joy, from wing to blossom to impossible blossom, to sweet impossible blossom. This last poem is mine. It ends on a question, and I immediately answer the question. Deadheading flowers comes to mind, for Lex. Deadheading flowers comes to mind as I read your kind missive. I am pinching off past peak constellations of pistils, stamen, and petals, sticky and spent delight, the leavings of being blessed by bees. They come and rollick in the goodness to be found, dress themselves in golden garb, get gobsmacked on nectar and sunlight, and move on with an almost imperceptible wobble. We are born not knowing hope or despair, or the false work necessary to bridge the gap. Once we see ourselves in the mirror, I'm going to read that line over again. Excuse me. We are born not knowing hope or despair, or the false work necessary to bridge the gap once we see ourselves in the mirror. I close my hand around the tilting limp orb and pull through to tension to where hand meets stem, where there's still enough life to resist separation. Are my words the sticky spent constellation? Are you the bee? Are these words pulling and leaving us forward in the time it takes a bee to inhale and exhale, the flower head to land in loam, your kindness to warm a forgotten room? Am I the bee on the way back to the hive? Are you the one whose hand discards the head for mulch? Is this call and response, the petals, the nectar, the pollen, propelling us through another day? Are your words the golden sunlight at dusk? Are we both guiding the hand onward, pulling and trusting the rhythm while rendering hope in the perennial turn of phrase photosynthesis? What of these words, and how they speed by us without thought, or are woven into the symbiotic soma of this being human? Is it enough to hope there will be one more breath of line exchanges while dancing with despair, this deadheading? Tell me, what's more reassuring than a handful of words whispered in the deep loam of night? Well, with the ebb and flow of hope, sometimes it is everything. Thank you.
Okay. Now you get me. Yikes. Some people say. I wanted to start off with a poem, with a couple of poems written by the people as well. This first one is another poem by Eleanor Berry, which is the poem that she ends her book, Works of Wildfire, with. It's called Coda. What luck, we said. The acres we bought some 2 decades back and made our home happen to lie right in the path of a total solar eclipse, barely a quarter mile from the center line. No need to travel across the world to view it. No need even to leave our land. If only persistent smoke from distant wildfires dispersed on the awaited day. With luck that it did, just in time for us to witness the entire eclipse, from first contact to last. 3 years after we watched, in the sky above our familiar home horizon, pale radiance appear around the sun's briefly moon-blocked disk, this same land of ours would lie right in the path of record winds from the east, bellows to smoldering fires in steep remote terrain, fanning them high, driving the storm of embers swiftly west and down the canyon, setting drought-parched trees and brush alight, igniting anything wood-built. The swath of burn reached barely a quarter mile past our place, when the wind, forecast to continue hours longer, abruptly stopped. What luck for those whose homes were spared. Fir trees blackened and dead, house, outbuildings, and all of their contents consumed. This land is no longer our home site, but remains ours in the tax rolls. Land that was until it was seized by settlers, whence it came through a long succession of sales to us. Part of the home of the Santiam band of the Kalapuya. Each year for centuries they burned off underbrush, kept open camas meadows for harvest, never left those acres stoked with fuel for wood fire, kept open a view of the sky. What luck if, in the strip of low, wet meadow running the length of this land, meadow long, thick with weed, blackberry, and dock, now suddenly cleared by wildfire and earth mover, camas comes to bloom again. That's Eleanor's. And so, since this is the Impermanence of Hope, I brought a couple of hopeful poems. Hope poems. This one's by Kim Stafford. For the birds singing before dawn. Some people presume to be hopeful when there is no evidence for hope. To be happy when there is no cause. Let me say now, I'm with them. In the deep darkness, on a cold twig, in a dangerous world, first one little fluff lets out a peep, a warble, a song, and in a little while, behold, the first glimmer comes, then a glow filters through the misty trees, then the bold sun rises, then everyone starts bustling about. And that first crazy optimist, can we forgive her for thinking, dawn by dawn, hey, I made that happen. And oh, life is so fine. And I had sent out an email for two poetry pals to send me some hopeful poems. This is one I got from Emmett Wheatfall, called Sunday Evening. The text reads, my oldest daughter earned her wings on Sunday evening. My uncle is mourning. Something must be said for her passing away Sunday evening. It feels so uneven given the balance of the day. Ironically, I have watched birds to take flight in the evening, never again to return. What more could she have asked for than to take to flight? Some ministers say people get their wings upon their passing. The biblical psalmist speaks of taking the wings of the morning. I can't imagine turning that down. At least her acceptance into the great beyond was not roughshod. I hope I get wings. Wings the size of eagles. It continues to be my challenge, earning them. And I also got a poem from Sherry Levine called Last Year's Leaves. A walk in the woods, a whiff of spring, damp dirt and pine, ice still on the ground, but in the sun, I feel like I'm walking on a sponge. Mushroom sprouts, clustering white caps, bluing trumpets, slit gills, fleshy spores, beautiful, ugly fungus flowers. I crouch underfoot and lift last year's leaves, lying crisp and brittle, still intact. I don't have to dig deep. Just feel the rich, dark earth in my fist, home of worms, bugs, and slugs. Is it comforting to be part of something seemingly whole? Walking through last year's leaves, through darkness of illness, loss, and grief, I arise as a tightly wound fiddlehead, now unfurled, a space alien plant shooting toward the sky. Okay, I brought, I don't know, a couple of my prompts here. This is called Sentimental Walk. And this is inspired by a song by Heidi Henrikson-Miner. It's just the way it is sometimes on Liberty Street downtown. January, with rain uncertainly falling in the evening, with people going heads covered, hurrying. We walk like a saxophone solo, a reverberating, unhurried amble of notes, one following into the next, step by step, past See's Candies, past the remains of the mall, past Liberty Plaza, or whatever it's called now, straight from New York Pizza, the Reed Opera House, frozen in time. We walk with thoughts, two sets that sometimes adjust to the metronome of our steps, play in time for a while, then improvise again, off and separate, harmoniously dissonant. One of us leans in. The other does not move back. It's raining on Liberty Street and cold. We might as well be Parisians. Hand in hand, a sepia-toned image anticipating a kiss that will surely come. Okay. Before these get too sappy, I'm going to read this poem. I don't really do found poetry all that much, but I did put this together with found phrases that were headlines or first sentence of news stories. And it's called Florida Man. Superhero or supervillain? It's hard to decide about Florida Man. Florida man attacked by a squirrel during a selfie. Florida man wearing a "No, seriously, I have drugs" t-shirt, arrested for possession of drugs. Florida man suspected of using a private plane to draw a giant radar penis. Florida man stabs tourist despite having no arms. Who is this dude? He stalks the newspaper like an amazing douchebag, leaving a trail of destruction and questionable court documents. Florida man charged with assault with a deadly weapon after throwing an alligator into a Wendy's drive-thru window. Florida man gets tired of waiting at a hospital, steals ambulance, drives home. Florida man tries to rob a GameStop while wearing a transparent bag on his head. Florida man denied drinking and driving, says he only drinks bourbon at stop signs. Florida man leaves job at Burger King, steals all the nuggets. Florida man arrested for assaulting girlfriend with fried chicken. Florida man arrested for driving a stolen vehicle while a monkey clings to his chest. Florida man pauses chase to rehydrate with stolen Capri Suns, saying smoking crack makes him thirsty. Florida man says he danced on a patrol car in order to escape from vampires. Florida man drives state to a sports bar on a stolen Walmart mobility scooter. Florida man yells at police, "Tase him. You'll see what happens." Gets tased 10 times, collapses. Florida man tries to walk out of Walmart with $172 worth of lobster stuffed down his pants. Florida man arrested in park for practicing karate on swans. There's no end to his questionable illegal activities. Florida man arrested for beating a drag queen with a tiki torch while dressed as a member of the KKK, now running for mayor. He comes across as politically ambivalent, but ultimately someone who needs a friend. Florida man drunkenly leaves strip club, falls out of his truck, and his vehicle runs over his own legs. Florida man tries to run to Bermuda in an inflatable bubble, is rescued by the Coast Guard again. Florida man asks public for help looking for an 18-foot-long banana. Florida man burns himself dancing naked around a fire for a solstice ritual. Florida man planning to shoot down Hurricane Irma with his shotgun. Florida man misspelled school at warning sign twice outside of an elementary school. Florida man kicked out of a Trump rally for wearing a penis on his head. I have to admit, really, that Florida man, whoever he is kind of amazing. But I don't want to go drinking with him. So that's that one.
Did you actually read Florida headlines?
There's actually a website that has Florida headlines. So,
That was fabulously weird.
that was very weird. So to continue the weird, I watch a lot of YouTube videos of people riding their bicycles across the country. And I wrote this poem. It's called Optimistic Chris. I'd like to bicycle down the Pacific coast with a fellow named Optimistic Chris. The Peace Arch on a June morning, Canada a step away, clouds that will either rain or pose, or both. Ferry rumbles in under the peninsula, Port Townsend and down 101, Port Angeles, Forks, Aberdeen, waves and whales on our right shoulder, the snow-capped Olympics on our left. Cape Disappointment does not disappoint. Astoria-Negler Bridge, wind and weather of the Oregon coast, the romance of two-wheeled audacity, the danger of it. 4 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours in the saddle, pedaling ever south before resting for the night, stop to take a video, dance to the landscape. How long would it take? How many days? Who cares? Lincoln City, Newport, Coos Bay, fill the water bottles, tents stored in water-resistant nylon saddlebags, clammy mornings, drying rain flies and sleeping bags on picnic tables, and the afternoon wind, Crescent City, Klamath, Eureka, Dinty-Moore stew and flour tortillas, energy bars, and maybe a beer in the afternoon. Redwood cathedrals, ripped fog dragging their treetops, blue sky atop blue sea, Golden Gate, San Francisco, boudin, sublime, sourdough, turkey and Havarti, sharp deli mustard, narrow shoulders and cars uncomfortably close, the Pacific Coast Highway, strawberry fields, artichokes, garlic, Monterey, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, green tree crowns dotted with orange, night-blooming jasmine, the Rincon's delicate placement with surfers on waves for a quarter of a mile, Point Mugu, Malibu, Los Angeles, rollerbladers and jugglers, t-shirt salesmen and levy yards, sunburns and sunscreen and sunset explosions of color every night, friends made along the way, determined Dennis, snoring Mike, sore legs, sore backs, full hearts and smiles of amazement, smiles of an adventure, San Diego, Chula Vista, the Mexico border. We would shake hands and clap backs on that afternoon, looking north from where we have come and west to the constant companions we've become. What a lucky boy am I. All right, I got 2 left here. A book came out a couple years ago called November Reconsidered. And the titles of the poems in the book had dates in them in November. And so sometimes when I read November, one of the dates of the poem in the book is not going to be today. So this is called The Barrel and Peg Food Cart, 6:30 p.m. Thursday, November 7th in 2019. If cooking is an act of love, then what is eating? Love contained in thick, sliced onions. Love expressed in a fresh brioche bun, halved and toasted on the grill in rendered butter. Love exposed in lettuce, washed, shaped. Love enclosed through, yes, a formed patty. Love and all these things may not be enough. The perfect hamburger does not spontaneously appear. It is planned, scheduled, schemed, specifically constructed like the Tower of Babel or the Great Wall of China. And like these wonders of human enterprise, world-altering in their scope and hubris, in this creative extravagance are the basic elements, the base necessity of sublime sandwich fabrication, which includes, in measured and specific amounts, sweat, clocks, money, education, practice, supply chain economics, logistics, and zeitgeist. Love paints with a large brush. Love is a house painter. This perfect system formulated from the food cart behind the barrel and keg, I don't even know it's there anymore. It's not there anymore. Requires details, fine point specifics. Requires choosing the number 6 liner brush over the Gradeco airless paint sprayer. How are the patties made? What percentage meat? What percent is fat? What kind of beef and where does it come from? What does it eat? A touch of pork fat and mayo or aioli. And is there bacon? And how is it smoked? And is there pepper? And sharp cheddar cheese. And then there are onions. So many layers. If white onions say I love you, what do red onions say? Or pickled red onions? I can make this and give it to you to sustain you out of love, because I love you. You can taste it, but I don't have pickled onions in the house. No one does. If cooking is love, what is eating? There are technical terms, of course. Sear, mouthfeel, presentation, etc. None of it matters. All of it is important. There are blueprints and caricatures, smooth line flowcharts that draw one element to the next. There are 100 details, 1,000 between the thought and the mouth. Conglomerate choices that communicate to the table and to the throat. Supporting this activity is a divine act of commerce, the language of the spatula. It's called skill. From first bite, you will know if this is heaven. You will know if this is heaven. Or some suspicious purgatorio. When someone says I love you, don't say I know. Search your feelings. Let the answers play through your teeth, every area of your tongue. Answer as best you can with a blush of appreciation, with efficient sensitivity, and with a bite full of love. Okay, this is the last one I got for you. This is called Angels in This World Are Not on the Walls of Churches. It actually appears in this book here, Resurrection of Trees, which can be had for $15. Or talk sweetly to Bob. One of the two. Anyway, this poem was originally published in Blue Collar Review, and it's inspired by the song Care by the band Marillion. The angels in this world are not on the walls of churches. She wraps her arms around me. On the wall of the night-broken apartment complex, eruptions of red and blue illuminate the faces of people driving by. It is cold, steam rising efficient and straight from the cage dryer vent below a bloom of green. Breathless, late for whatever, past the PGE truck, hazards blinking, past a satanic mill of fast food restaurant drive-thrus like mouths opening and closing, arms like tongues lick bags and open windows, past the dump truck at the end of the day, the bus pulling into a stop and its contents. He wraps his arms around me. We are together, artificially drafted into teams, 2 teams that divide us. The demeaning jokes, the joker's personalities, the multiply by division, division by fraction, throw up all the static in the world like it can take, static a dryer sheet could remove. She wraps her arms around me. A division that would go away when something real happens, a trip to the hospital, a trip to the morgue. A division that would go away when something real happens, a trip to the hospital, a trip to the nursery. It should go away when something real happens, but doesn't. He wraps his arms around me. Where are the angels of this world? Where are the angels of this world? Where are the angels of this world? They are working through the night, working while we sleep. It's not an otherworldly thing to change an IV, empty a bedpan, a sponge bath, to help, to hold a hand, to sit in that chair holding judgment and listen to the words from a confused mouth, to do just about any of the little, small or large things that make this place a little more bearable. Life by a million cuts of light. Small act or large, just the act, the attempt. You wrap your arms around me in ways seen, in ways no one sees. You carry me. You carry me. You carry me, and maybe one day I can carry you, or thank you. You carry me. I'm lucky. Lucky. You wrap your arms around me. Thank you very much. So, what we're going to do is, we have the sign-up sheet here for the open mic. We're going to stretch our legs for a couple minutes, or... Okay, and Juniper's going to say something, and then we'll stretch our legs and then do the open mic.
The open mic sheet is here on the front table if somebody hasn't signed up yet and they'd like to read. I just wanted to say thanks for coming and helping celebrate the words that help generate hope and sustain us and buoy us. And I don't mean my words. I read all those other poets and people that are important to me. There are many people who wrote essays and even films and baked goods, all kinds of creativity for that matter. So, and there are many writers here and people that create. But thank you for coming and sharing. And also, let's send some good energy to Dirk and Lydia, because the pink decorations here, they had a baby girl born today, the people who own the bakery. Thanks, Heidi. The baby.
Marc, what'd you do? Turn around. I cut out all the headphones. I'm still forgetting. And Doc, did you read?
Yep.
All right. Some years ago, someone is her dad taught for a long time, and my mother taught for ever, including buildings. And yes, I think she was. Mom taught, my sister taught, my brother-in-law taught. Well, we did small sessions to middle schoolers. Over 30.